Hello, guys. Today I want to discuss something very important and very interesting, the power of positive thinking. Our thinking has a very immense and huge effect on our lives because whatever we think in the mind actually that is manifested in our realities. How does it happen? Are you scared of cockroach? Maybe you had a bad experience once in a life, and since then you are scared of the cockroach. However, there are plenty of people around who are not scared of the cockroach because they did not had the such bad experience, or either they had ignored that encounter, so they're not scared. So it is, they don't think cockroach to be dangerous. However, you think that cockroach is dangerous and you're pretty much scared. So that is basically the difference, where our mind, whatever we feed our mind, that actually manifests in our realities, in our practical lives. It may be professional, personal, social life, whatever it is, but the mind has a huge role in it. So what we should do to lead a happy and successful life is that we have to control our thoughts to make our lives uh, happy, and not to make them miserable, because when you are surrounded by the negativities, negative thoughts, negative people, it actually kills us inside out. And we face disasters because we are so much sunk into the negativity. So the first thing you have to do is to understand how thinking is making our personality. you know you are not what you think you are what you think. So that is how our personality is made, from our thoughts. And our success and our failure is also pretty much immensely related with our thoughts. Have you experienced your frame of mind just before you're going to jump? At that very precise moment, if you have a positive thought in your mind, yes, I can do it, I'm certainly going to do it, you do it. But if you have confusion in your mind, if you have kind of fear in your mind that, oh, I don't know whether I would be able to make it or not, in that case you have already lost the game. You are out of the game already, because that is not possible, that without having the positive thought inside, you actually do something positive or something successfully. So that is basically the very important part, to understand that our thoughts has effect in our lives. Like it is said that success is in the mind, and it is true that success is a state of mind. If you want to be successful, start yourself thinking of a success, and gradually you would come up to that required level of success which you have in your mind, which you have targeted for. So never ever feed yourself with negative thoughts. Try to avoid the people who spread negativity, because they actually don't do anything in their own lives, and they ruin and demoralize the other people also around them. So just try to avoid them, because they are of no use. Even if you're a high level of energy, but the people you surrounded with are on the lower side of the energy or the lower side of positivity, they will drag you down to their level. And the most important thing, never say that I cannot do this. Never say that, because you're limiting your mind. Unless you limit your mind, the mind has huge capacity, huge potential to do anything which a mind can imagine, that is also possible to do. Because we have so many success stories, many of them you would also have noticed that the people succeeded from the scratch. They were like nothing, and then they came up with the millions and billions of dollars. They only had a vision, or they had a thought to do something, and they eventually came up to that level. Never ever tell yourself that I cannot do this. However, in a situation when you think that you are confused, ask yourself, how can I do it? Because when you will question your mind, that will eventually start the mind working for you to figure out the solutions, like the Siri does. When you ask something from Siri, it gives you suggestions. That is simply how our mind works. Instead of saying that you cannot do this, ask yourself, how can I do this? So that will be a better approach, and give yourself encouragement. Tell yourself that you are good, you are brilliant. that should not be taken as overconfidence, because overconfidence is something that when you are not prepared for something and you are thinking that it will happen, that is the overconfidence. When you are prepared and you know you should be able to do this, then you should be, clear. You should have a clear thought in your mind that yes, I can do this. In cases when you cannot avoid, distance from the people with negative thoughts and negative attitude, just try to not to get influenced from them. Just ignore their suggestions, their feedback. Let me tell you a brief story. There were two kids playing in a village. They went around and they came across a water well. While playing, one of them fell into the water well. So the other kid had to pull him up. So he dropped the rope and he pulled him out of the rope, of the well. So when they went back to the village, they tell their villagers that we had a situation and I pulled him out and this is what happened with us. Nobody believed them because they thought that they were telling stories. However, when they asked for an opinion from a wise man in the village, he tell that they are not lying, because when this kid had to pull the other kid out of the well with the rope, there was nobody who could tell him that, hey kid, you are too young, you cannot do this. There was nobody who could limit his there was nobody who could tell him that he cannot do this. And after that, so there was nobody who could tell him that you cannot do this. And eventually there was no limiting factor in his mind about his power, so he had to pull and he did it. So that is how our brain, our mind works. We set the limits for ourselves. If we broaden the limits or we remove the limits, the limit is the sky. Alright, that's all I have to say now. Thank you so much.